Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. They hide the corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up on the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look with the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. On this day, Saturday, the 11th day of the 4th month, April 2026, I welcome each and every one of you to this evening's program. Those on the ground in Guyana, I hope that you're having a pleasant Saturday. And also to those out in the diaspora, I hope that you're having a pleasant and productive Saturday thus far. Welcome in, brothers and sisters. Please go ahead and like the broadcast and share the program. Remember, this is your program. This is your investment. Over to you, a program for the people, by the people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just take 2 minutes and just run through the roll call this evening. As we do, as usual, there's always lots to discuss, right? And please do not forget the VIP Independence Back-to-Back Oldies VIP edition, hosted by Mr. Keith Beresford and the Yankee crew. All right, Where Eagles Nightclub on Robb Street. All right, please, guys, make an effort to be there. Nice, clean fun. Nice, clean fun. Eagles Nightclub again, Robb Street, Georgetown, Guyana. May 30th, and then back again on June 6th for a second round. All right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into tonight's roll call. Marcus Paul, Canarsie, Brooklyn is in the house. Yes, Brooklyn is in the house. And from Marcus, we go all the way to Region 2 in Guyana to the Honorable Mr. Puran Ramdas, who is in the house this evening. A pleasant good evening to you. Eva is in the house. Good evening to you, Eva. Miss Rhonda Tuesday is here. Pace and power as usual. Rastaman, you're very early today. Today is going to be an interesting show. Rastaman is here early. I look forward to your contribution, sir. The Honorable Mr. Victor Ben, our first Canadian in the house. Good to see you, Victor. Good evening to you. Altia Wade is in the house. Good evening. Yes, Altia. Sorry for the little wait. I got to get better with this. Ian Harry is in the house. A pleasant good evening, Ian. Marcus Skinner is here. Good evening, Marcus. Mr. Godfrey Williams is here. Good evening, Godfrey. Miss Desiree Smart. Felix, our second Canadian in the house. Good evening to you, Miss Desiree. Yvonne Rodriguez, yes, Barbados, the island The sunny island of Barbados is in the house. Good evening to you, Yvonne. Miss Sandra Hanover, the freedom fighter, is here in the house, and my assistant on the YouTube side. It's good to see you, Miss Hanover. I hope that you're keeping well. Miss Mary Figueroa is here. Good evening, Mary. Good evening. Miss Karen Clark is in the house. Welcome to the broadcast. Pace and power as usual. Miss Deslyn Wilson, by way of Victoria, is in the house. Good evening, Deslyn. Pace and power, of course. Sandra Sargent is here. More pace and power. Good evening to you. Ivor Mill is in the house. Good evening, Ivor. Miss Audrey Brown is here. Pace and power. Good evening, Miss Audrey Brown. Mr. Clifton Colley is here, my childhood friend. Good to see you, sir. Rosemary Martindale Brackett is in the house. Good evening to you. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. And a fellow freedom fighter, Miss Charlene A. Moses, is here. Good evening, Charlene. Good evening. I would love to have you here one evening with me. Kay Mingo, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Mayborn King is in the house. Good evening to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Verlin Ward is here. Good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. The Honorable Miss Maxine Monroe is in the house. Pace and power as usual. Good evening to you. Petra Garden is here. Good evening to you, Petra. Eugenie Grant is here. Good evening to you. Miss Brenda Braithwaite is in the house. Good evening, Miss Braithwaite, and I hope that you're keeping and doing very well. Claudette Allen is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you. The Honorable Miss Hazel Johnson is here. Miss Hazel Johnson, a pleasant good evening to you. Thank you for being here this evening. You always bring the fight, pace and power as usual. Carl Duncan is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you. Verlin Ward is here. Good evening, good evening. The Honorable Miss Denise Booker is in the house. Good evening, Miss Booker. Our executive producer, Mr. Gavin Caesar, is here. Yes, welcome listeners to the live stream. Linda Baker is here. Afras Uzman is in the house. Good evening, good evening. Queenie White is here. Jillian Solomon is in the house. All right, and hello to you too, Miss Booker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. All right, there's work to be done. There's things to be done. Let's get started. Where do we start? Hey, look, you guys want to talk about leadership? Let's talk about leadership. All right. Last weekend, what did we talk about? What did we challenge last weekend? We challenged the utterances of the U.S. ambassador. That's what we did. All right. We challenged it. So, putting that in the context of leadership, right? Once we would have challenged that on over to you, you would expect that some leader, the smart leader, or whomever it is, would catch on, right? While the ambassador, it is within our scope. If she wants to talk about Exxon and oil and the new contract and all of these stuff, which of course we came back, right? We came back and we highlighted that the contract can be negotiated, right? We came back, myself and Dr. Adams, we went through that on a full show on Monday, right? So that is fine. That is okay. That is okay. But when the ambassador would have said that all Guyanese are benefiting from the oil fine and the oil revenue, now I would have said that that was out of scope. All right. And I want to give a major call out to Comrade Norton for coming out in the last APNU press conference and supporting that fact that that is out of scope. Right? I don't know where it is that the ambassador is getting her intelligence from. But one thing we can confirm here is that intelligence is wrong. The intelligence is absolutely wrong. How can all Guyanese be benefiting from this oil fine? And we're teetering on a 60% poverty rate and a 35% abject poverty rate. Come on, we've got to be smarter than that. We've got to be smarter than that. And I know there's a lot of people who You know, they don't want to bell the cat because, oh, it's a U.S. ambassador. I respect the United States of America. I live in the United States of America. But hey, come on. There is something called right. There's right and there's wrong, right? I'm not going to bow and be forced to believe in something that is wrong. That is wrong for you to come out and make such a statement. That's basically a lie. Right? And many are of the opinion that sometimes these people are paid to talk. I'm not going to say that that's my opinion, but to the extent that you're paid to talk, if you're going to speak and what comes from your mouth is reckless, then there are people who are going to bell the cat and let it be known that what is coming from your mouth is it's not correct. Right? It's just like if I go there and say something reckless. So it's absolutely incorrect that all Guyanese are benefiting. Tall buildings does not depict that people are benefiting. I have continually engaged teachers who are indicating to me that kids come to school hungry. They depend on whatever school breakfast is being served. Charlotte A. Moses is saying the ambassador don't know what she's talking about. Yes, when it comes to this specific issue that we're dealing with here, the ambassador does not know what she's talking about. And look, and Guyanese are scared to speak out, but the issue here is that consistently that we have seen ambassadors come to Guyana and would have just aligned themselves with the PPPC. This is not a good look. This is not a good look. Nobody's calling out the wrongs of this government, but they're quick to support and say that all Guyanese is benefiting from the oil revenue. That is disingenuous, man. I'm so sorry, but it's a fact. It's disingenuous. So I really, really, really am happy. I was very, very happy with the last APNU press conference because Comrade Norton came out and he bailed the cat. And to me, that depicts pretty good leadership when you're willing to stand up. I got the point that it is the US ambassador. Yes. Yes. And it's a strong, mighty United States of America. Yes. And the interest of the strong and mighty United States of America matters. But like I would have said last week, okay, let me be pellucidly clear. Like I would have said last week, the interest of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana also matters. May I be clear on that? Extremely clear, I hope. And I'm thankful to Comrade Norton for showing some spine and coming out on that. You guys want to talk about new leader of the opposition? Where is the new leader of the opposition on these issues? Where is the new leader of the opposition on these issues? These are the issues that needs to be addressed. Because it affects Guyana holistically, it affects the entire population. We talk of wanting to come back to the table for a new oil deal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's ask ourselves the question here. New oil deal for what? To put more monies into the pockets of the PPP? To put more money into the pockets of the PPP? Because that is what's happening. To enrich the PPP friends, family, and favorites? Look, we are getting money that we never dreamt of having before. We are, quote unquote, the world's fastest growing economy. Why is that not reflective in the less than 1 million citizens that Guyana have? Less than 1 million total citizens you have, including children. And you have a poverty rate that's teetering on 60. Just below Haiti. Just below Haiti. That has basically been in civil war for the last few years. We should be ashamed of ourselves as leaders of the nation of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The leaders should be ashamed of themselves. And then you have people like Exton Clark, the seven-day leader, that is saying Irfan Ali is a statesman. What binoculars are you looking through to make such an erratic statement? Statesman. I have not seen a statesman since Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, and I'm going to stick by that. But I was very pleased on Friday, because when Comrade Norton spoke, I said, if Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham was living today and he was in opposition, this is the way he would have addressed that issue. You got to take that on head on. It's wrong. Don't let people come and edify your people with what is wrong. We have picked up very, very bad habits in Guyana. We want to adapt to other people's, other nations' culture. And we pick up what is good and what is not good. Guyana is a cowboy country. It's guns all over the place. You have to be protected. Dennis Booker, I wouldn't argue your statement. And look, it's your opinion. David Granger is a statesman, and the late Hugh Desmond Hoyt. Hugh Desmond Hoyt was a very, very good man. All right. And maybe when I speak of statesman, I probably put it through the roof when it comes to measuring. Because to me, it is so difficult for anyone to try to measure up. And this, again, my opinion, measure up to the late, great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Look, he is going to always be known as the greatest leader to come out of Guyana. Nobody can trump that, no matter what they do. No matter what they do, the writing is already on the wall. From extrajudicial killings to all the things that they would have done, they can never align themselves with Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Cannot. You know something? All right, I'm gonna pick this up real quick. I saw a comment there, so that I felt like I needed to pick up. Dexter A. France. Norton don't have the intelligence like Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Look, in his own right, Comrade Norton is a smart gentleman. In his own right. But you know something? Sometimes we gotta put things into context, boy. When you are given a strainer to fetch water, is something else, yeah. you're going to be faced with so many challenges when you're given a strainer to fetch water or carry water. The APNU would not have gotten to where they are today because of Comrade Norton. Guys, we need to study the entire situation. We need to look at all the things that would have happened, and I wouldn't do it on this program. But if you all want us to put aside a program just to analyze and go through everything, we can do that. You guys can just say, yes, let's do a program like that in the comments, and we can put together a program for that. But a lot would have happened. And when I say a lot would have happened, not on the positive side, but on the negative side. And you know what? It's shameful because it shows that, on both sides, you had people that were not putting the people first, and that's sad. I would not place my hands on the Bible to take an oath to serve the people and then turn around and do that to them. All right. But that being said, let's go back to the ambassador. And I would like to see, and listen, ladies and gentlemen, we can look at it however we want to look at it. We want investors to come into Guyana. We want to bring different ventures into Guyana. All right? But it has to be under the right circumstances. And we want all these businesses and investors to work within the framework of our laws and international laws. Why is it that we always got to find ourselves, playing underneath the table? Joseph Caleb, I agree with you. Joseph Caleb is saying, but no one else does. There is no other leader supreme to Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. He said, par excellence. Well said, Mr. Caleb. Well said. And I believe it would have been great. It would have been a great thing for whomever would have provided the intelligence to the U.S. ambassador to give her a good little snippet of the history of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham and the things that we had here in Guyana before, where we was assembling tapirs, we was doing Geddes Grant, we was doing radio, we was doing refrigerators, transistor radios, refrigerators, we had butter, we had all these glass factory, short factory. I don't want to go through, Victor Ben and these guys have taught me about all these things, C-Rex, all kind of different things. Guyana fisheries was big time. We had everything. No one was going hungry. The only person I know in Burnham time that had white mouth is Mark Phillips. There's the only person had white mouth in Burnham time. Right? And probably must he eat too much or something and get white mouth, because he's not the smartest. He's not the smartest in the class. That's why he just sit in the back all the time. Yes, I'm speaking to the current Prime Minister of Guyana, Mark Phillips. That's who I'm speaking of. I would like to see all ambassadors and all external dignitaries be more, be more unbiased, right? Because what I see biasness favorable to the government that is currently in power. We see this also from the religious organizations, most of them. But don't you guys look at the way, for those religious organizations, don't you guys look at the way this government operates and treat their citizens? I mean, you look at that and you still call that righteous? You call that righteous? Instead of funding the mayor and city council, you take away 57 streets from them. Ladies and gentlemen, instead of funding the mayor and city councils across the country correctly, because I'll tell you this, you may look at the mayor and city council as basic, but the mayor and city council is a guardrail to democracy, you know. You notice once they took away those 57 streets, what happened? You saw 22 garbage truck land. What does that tell you? We are unwilling to give anything to the mayor and city council. We will take it and we will do it ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, that depicts a one-party state. That's the road we're heading down. And all governments that supporting this current regime is supporting Guyana becoming a one-party state. I don't care who you be. That is what you're supporting. We need to stop lying to the people and tell the people the truth. The PPP doesn't make decisions on a bilateral basis. The PPP makes unilateral decisions. Now, if Barnum was so bad as the PPP says he was, why in 2026 we are still sitting here with winner take all on the government level? Why is it? That has created such a massive loophole. You see, you could have had winner take all with Barnum, yes. Because Barnum knew that he had to serve everybody. He understood that. That a solely African Guyana was not going anywhere without being inclusive, including our East Indian brothers and sisters. But let me tell you guys something. These that we got here, okay, these set of dunces that we got here, they want to test the theory that Guyanese is going to be Guyana is going to be an Indian nation. Forget about the rich history of the Africans here. Forget the fact that we came here and we found them here, already here. Palm Halls, we having a dictatorship here right now. You're correct, Miss Palm Halls. I wouldn't argue that statement. I wouldn't argue that statement. Before I even get into more, ladies and gentlemen, I noticed that there was a little bit of a conflict here this evening because the APNU is having street parliament this evening, but I was not sure of the time. I was not notified of the time, right? So we have a schedule here at Bench Up Radio, so I had to be on. And I'm sorry, the fact that we're on simultaneously, right? But we have to be here. And I hope next time we would be able to arrange it better because we want the people to be able to listen into everything. All right. Yes, Bonita Browder. LFS was extremely patriotic. And that's what we need to be. We need to be patriotic. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, continuing to move forward. Listen, I have been seeing reports that Carol Joseph would have received a letter of dismissal, the Honorable Miss Carol Joseph, who would have served the PNCR for, I believe, over 50 years. I don't know if it's anywhere between 51 and 55 years. I am not sure, but I know it's a lot of years. Because I believe when she had gotten to 50, I believe I had given her a call. You know, to thank her for the service and everything else. But one thing I must say about Miss Carol Joseph, she understood, you know, her duties. she understood the scope of her work that she was dealing with, right? And I am not sure how that letter is going to sit, because I don't believe it is within the scope of the opposition, the current opposition leader, to be able to remove Miss Carol Joseph. So we have to see where that go, right? We have to see where that go. And I would not be surprised if it is not within his scope. I would not be surprised 1 minute. Because sometimes when I look at the Win Party, I cannot believe that you had MPs sitting in the Win Party that would have been to Parliament multiple times. But yet we see a lot of reckless statements. Right? But this move here, specifically from the calls that I would have received from many, this move here to a lot of people depicts that Win and the PPP are one, and the PPP and Win are one, and Win is just a spin-off of the PPP. You guys see this whole extradition drama that's playing out? This thing is quite a joke. This thing is real-time comedy. While that the Guyanese people just continue to punish. This is real comic strip show going on right now, where you have monies being delivered with wheelbarrow, attorney general and leader of the opposition skinning the teeth and laughing. Because what they saying to themselves, these donkeys don't know that we are all working together. Guyana is a mess. Guyana is a mess, and people need to start standing up, and people need to start listening. All right? Because if you don't listen and if you don't act accordingly, your fortunes will never change. Your fortunes will never change. You will find your children will be cutting shrubs out in the yards of the hotels, mopping the floors, cleaning the toilets. We need to wake up. We need to wake up before it is too late. We can see what the task is. The task here is to eliminate the PNCR. And ladies and gentlemen, if you sit and you allow the PNCR and by extension the APNU to be eliminated, there goes your guardrails for democracy. Right there, down the toilet, through the door. Correct, Gavin Caesar. The task of Azruddin Mohammed is to completely destroy the PNC. Many may sit down and say, well, we don't believe that. Look how many African Guyanese align themselves with Azruddin Mohammed. It is unfair for you to say that they're there to destroy the APNU. But how many times before, guys, in history have we not seen African Americans come together, take a gun, and shoot themselves in their own leg? Self-inflicted wounds. How many times in history have we not seen that? We got to wake up. And this is not, look, some people just want to look and say, well, oh, that's a racist position. No. It's not a racist position. What's racist is the Guyana economic infrastructure is not built for the African Guyanese. That's what's racist. What is racist is that Bangladeshis could come into Guyana and live, get a permanent place to live. The Spanish can breach the border, come in, and be treated like Guyanese citizens. But yet Haiti, that has been going through a civil war basically for over a decade now, Haitians cannot come into Guyana and find a place to live. How could anybody cry anything about race? Hmm? How can we? Look at large businesses across Guyana. Who owns them? Who owns them? When I look for African owned businesses that are large in Guyana, and I wouldn't even say large, but of relative size. I look at maybe Nigel Liu's law practice, a few law practices here and there. That doesn't satisfy the criteria. That doesn't satisfy the criteria. You guys see what happened to what's happening with Darwin Best and his fuel license. That's obvious. Here you had an opportunity to put a feather in your cap by saying, hey, let this African have a fuel license. There's no African with a fuel license in Guyana. We got issues, ladies and gentlemen. We got issues, right? And we got to address them. We got to address them head on. While I'm at it, let me say many congratulations to the Honorable MP, a great man, Dr. Dexter Todd, by launching Dexter Todd and Associates law firm. They are at the corner of Smythe, I believe, and Durban Street. I believe it's Smythe and Durban Street. They are at the corner there. But again, big congratulations to Dr. Dexter Todd for launching Dexter Todd and Associates. He's a credible attorney at law. And look, to those who have legal issues, please, I encourage you to go out there and visit Dexter Todd and Associates law firm. Again, congratulations to you, Honorable Dr. Dexter Todd, Member of Parliament. Well deserved. He would have worked hard for that. He ain't smuggle nothing. He ain't sell nothing. He ain't undermine anybody. He didn't kill anybody to get to this point. It was done the hard way. There is nobody from Comrade Granger's cabinet that has apartment building. All right? So when people want to go wrong and they want to talk, they got to be careful. Now I want to quickly hit this here high level. Smythe and Durban Street. Yes, it's Smythe and Durban Street. Thank you, Miss Mary Figueroa. See, I got all these things at the top of my head. I'm not looking at stuff, So I'm good. The brain is fine. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna hit this quick, high level. All right. And this is a very touchy situation right here. Now, we have Guyanese on the ground that works very, very, very hard. And Charlene A. Moses, I want to thank you because I believe it's on your page, your site, that I would have foresaw this story. But it happens to be a story, with regards to a pretty good friend of mine, Honorable Sister Robin Simon. Let me say something. Let me put some things into context here. All right. There's no question about Robin's work and how hard she works. All right. But I'm going to say this. Our people are in a very, very, very bad position. And sometimes it gets to the point that they don't care whose character they defame or who they undermine. What would have happened at Success was quite a shame. It was an abysmal performance by that citizen. It was wrong, okay? It was very wrong, all right? Because not boasting, but I do a lot of donations. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to exercise a measure of trust, all right? When there's a request for me to make a donation, I make my good faith donation, and that is it. I don't believe I have to call to check up to find out what happened, and because I trust that the donation will be used for the purpose it was meant to be used for. Okay? But our citizens are so pressed for money. All right? When their backs are against the wall, like for example, if people are bulldozed, what do? I'm telling you guys what has happened. The opposition has been threatened. If y'all don't do anything about this, we're not going to vote for y'all. You guys know the condition that APNUDs have to address these people under? APNUDs be addressing and taking care of people who would have voted WIN. People who would have voted PPP. In that live, one lady said, I don't know what they're talking about. Yes, they came and helped and did what they had to do. No, they had to do nothing. She said, yes, they came and helped and did what they had to do. But I don't vote APNU. The lady said, I don't vote APNU. I just vote WIN. And then with the same breath, she turned and she spoke something about, I am not racist. So our citizens have some serious issues. And one of the issues also for some of these people is the ability to read and write and understand what is happening in the society. All they understand is, hey, where am I going to get some money from? How am I going to get some money? So therefore, they threaten the parties with their vote. These type of behaviors were created by the PPP and by extension WIN. These are the parties that would have paid for their votes. So this goes back, man. When the US ambassador and these people want to get into our personal issues, they have to have proper intelligence. I don't care who is mad with me. I don't care who is mad with me. There's right and there's wrong. We don't have proper electoral guidelines in Guyana. And we need to have reforms to create this. Because in 2030, it's going to be worse than it was in 2025. The elections will be bought, sold, and bought again. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you exactly what's going to happen. When we step out of the nation, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and we're paying lobbyists in the US to lobby on our behalf, that's a whole different level right there. But imagine you have a government that is hiring lobbyist firms to lobby on their behalf, and you have 60% of the people that are in poverty, and you're talking about a country that has less than 1 million people. Sometimes I just beg for people to make these things make sense. Make it make sense. I want to really I want to really congratulate the 12 MPs that are currently in Parliament that are doing a fantastic job. And I also want to congratulate all of you guys watching this program this evening, because I believe that you guys have really owned in on that whole issue of the Because We Care cash grant, and the fact that you believe that yes, you can give out a small grant, but you guys believe that they should be it's safer to have school buses in place to transfer the students, right? Ashley Singh would have delivered buses in Region 6. That's coming from the APNU. Why could that not be a collaborative effort? Why could that not be a good faith collaborative effort? So you guys are seeing what is happening here. What the opposition APNU is saying. Again, what the opposition APNU is saying and what's within the manifesto of the opposition APNU makes more sense to Guyana than anything else. I hope you're all hearing me here tonight. The APNU manifesto that I would have deemed one of the best pieces that I've ever sat down and read. And I've done it a few times because it's quite a sweet and edifying read. Makes real sense for the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The PPP refuses to give any credit whatsoever to the APNU for that excellent piece of work. Okay? That excellent, people-centered. Oh yeah, they took that away also. People-centered manifesto. The APNU should have put a pattern on that. People-centered manifesto. It's not a corruption-built manifesto, but rather a people-centered manifesto. And that is what the Guyanese people need. That is what will contribute greatly to alleviating poverty. That is what's going to contribute to tempering cost of living, inflation. But the PPP, they're shame. They are shame. Just copy and paste it. Take it word for word. Don't be ashamed. We know that you guys are not capable of putting together such a piece. We know this. You can take it verbatim and use it. Once it helps the Guyanese people, that is the main goal. To get our people out of poverty, all right, to bring about hope, a strong measure of hope for our children. To the woman in success that was expecting money in her hands. People don't send money to build house. The first thing that people in the diaspora thinks of is food. People must have something to put in their stomach. Then everything else comes after. And you guys know that everything on the ground in Guyana come at a cost. I'm not going to go into details, but I spoke with Robin today and she broke down everything to me. She didn't have to. She broke down everything to me. She didn't have to. Right? So whomever that woman is, you need to apologize to her, man. You know, she's very hurt. She's very, very hurt. Look, Comrade Robin Simon was out last night marching with that family. Marching with that family from Aslington all the way to Covanjan Police Station. Marching for justice for the young man in Aslington that died in the hands of in the hands of the police officers, the Guyana Police Force. She works 24/7. And trust me, she's one of quite a few. Some people just don't even say anything. You just don't even see them. But they're doing tremendous work. And we don't want people to come out and make false accusations and accuse them of stealing and these type of things. What you're doing there, you're eliminating the bridges to you being able to be helped if there's a situation. If there's nobody willing to take the lead on these projects, then there's no kind of compensation coming down to help you guys to do anything. So I'm just asking you guys to be a bit smart. All right? And it shows that we don't trust each other. And it also shows that there's no unity. Out in Success there, they weren't just African Guyanese. They were East Indian Guyanese. And their behavior was much different. They took what they were given, they were thankful, and they took it with gratitude for whatever it's worth. There were some African Guyanese that did the same thing. But I'm asking, why does people always believe that they have to get more? There's the saying, take what you get till you get what you want. And sometimes getting what you want, you got to work towards that. It's not going to come from somebody else. It's something that you got to work towards. So to just put things in a nutshell, I say this to Robin and all the other people who are out there assisting on the ground, and there's so many. You have the Honorable Simona Brooms. You have these people are working. They work hard, and they spend a lot of their own money. So if I send something for them to do something, I'm not checking to see what they do with the money. Sometimes it may end up that they've already spent out all their money and all they can do is just replenish a portion of their money and have something to maintain their own household. These people take their personal computers and everything, wipe those computers and give it away to students because the student is more in need of it. So sometimes if you're not close to the situation, you're not going to understand. That's why I like to come on the program sometimes and drop details so that people could understand exactly what's happening behind the scenes. And this thing where you're threatening parties, oh, if you don't come and do anything, you're not getting our votes. Sometimes you have to sit down and you got to understand the positions of the parties. The PPP can give you guys whatever they feel like giving you guys because they're controlling all the resources of the country. Guyana is definitely teetering on a functioning dictatorship. And some people, once what their country is looking for, their interest is being satisfied, they don't care about whether Guyana is a functioning democracy or not. Don't ever let them tell you that they care about that, because they don't. Let's be honest, they don't. These ambassadors and high commissioners at the time, they were females. When the tragedy of Adriana Young happened, did anybody come out and cry and scream foul and say that there should be justice? Did anybody push the government to bring in the FBI and all that? So why no? Why no? You find it convenient to comment on personal matters. I got a problem with that. If nobody else does, I do. I do, because it's wrong. It's convenient. I'll dig in your comments, guys, for a second here. Okay, Miss Mary Figueroa is telling me Mr. Norton is at Street Parliament. Great. Great. We need unity. So it's a good thing that Mr. Norton is there. Miss Hazel Johnson is saying that Exim Bank is not pleased with the government. Look, any right-thinking person would not be pleased with this government. Any right-thinking person with the ability to understand, analyze, and read this government will not be pleased with them. We need strong governmental reforms in Guyana. Very strong. And I believe that it is time. I don't care who is there. I believe that it's time that we get rid of this winner-take-all. I believe that opposition parties should be able to control some ministries based on their proportions of seats. All right? That's just Wayne Caesar. If you guys are looking for all things to be even, all right? And when it comes to finance, all right, all parties should have a member sitting there. Because there's where all the crookery happen. I don't know, man. I don't know how it is and how it has become where people are worshiping the dollar. You even have leaders of religious organizations worshiping the dollar. You guys have lost all your morals, man. And I would not hesitate to call you guys despicable. Just going through your comments, guys. The vote, the Guyanese vote, should not be used as a transactional tool. Stick with your integrity. You're born with it. Go to your grave with it all intact. You think when you collect $100,000 for your vote, think about it. It's $100,000 in your hand, or $50,000, or whatever they're gonna give you for your vote. Yes, it's in your hands. But I beg to ask you the question: how sustainable is $50,000? How sustainable is $50,000, even $200,000 now in Guyana? How sustainable? Ladies and gentlemen, when you vote, you don't vote for tomorrow and the other day and today. When you vote for today, tomorrow, next year, your children, your grandchildren, and future generations. And you vote to the issues. Look how much monies are coming into Guyana. Are you guys getting clean water through the tap? Are you guys getting clean water through the tap? Is the lights on all day? These are basic things that the government should be providing to its citizens. In Georgetown, do you have proper drainage and irrigation? You're putting up tall buildings in Georgetown. Where is the sewage going? Where is the waste going? Where is the waste from the Georgetown Public Hospital going? Have the government ever thought of investing in an incinerator? We can't even stop Georgetown from flooding. Decades, the same thing. Decades, the same thing. Sometimes when I hear the word city engineer, I just want to fall down. Because I ask the question, what are these people doing? What's the purpose of having them? Who signs off on these contracts and give rights for these high rises to go up in Georgetown? Because they're going up, yes. But where's the waste going? Where's the waste going? You have people and their children walking through waters that has feces and all type of things in it. Possibly snakes and all different things. Water going all the way up to almost people's waists. And you have an ambassador that's saying Guyana is in a better position. I don't want to be foolish, but I don't know if it is that the ambassador will need a special pair of glasses to see that Guyana is now in a better position. Victor Ben, Wayne, when you take on the task of a freedom fighter, your work is never enough. And sometimes false accusations and ingratitude come along with it. Yes, Victor, that was well said. And in my conversation with Sister Robin, I encourage her to, don't let this stop her from the work. Remember, this is one or just a few people. Let her think about all the people that she, helps and serves. All right? Let her think of all of them. Robin is truly, yes, she's a true freedom fighter. And she's always on the ground. Always on the ground. Always there for families. And she has been a blessing to the APNU and to the people that she serves. So Robin, hold your head up. Don't down your head. All right? Don't down your head. You have people that are backing you. Jillian Solomon said, Wayne, the devil is very outstanding in the government. Yes. Beatrice Selby said, yes, Wayne, I'm watching the street parliament meeting too. Yeah, I don't like when the audience is split. I don't like it. I know you guys would recall when it was the election time and the APNU was campaigning, we suspended a lot of Over to You programs because the time slot was conflicting. And I don't want to impede, on the work of the party. So I would hope that we could get the communication really down pack. Because once it is okay with bench up radio here and the APNU happen to have a street parliament on a Saturday, then I will come on right after the street parliament. Right? I would come on right after the street parliament. I don't have no problem moving things around for the APNU. Lester is saying Africa is uniting. We can do it in Guyana. Look, you know, and you see a lot of people would look at Lester's position and say, "Oh, that's a racist position." It's not. It is not. What Lester is basically doing, he's looking out for the people that looks like him. Does he have a right to do that? Absolutely. Everybody else looks out for their own. What is wrong with him looking out for his own? Hmm? Whenever in Guyana you hear somebody shot dead or something happen, you could just say it's going to be an African Guyanese. You wouldn't be too wrong. There's not many times that you would be wrong. Because those are the only people that are really shot down in Guyana. And I noticed that some people are taking it upon themselves to commit robberies. And I want to say this. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Because when you're robbing, you don't know who you're robbing. Some of those people, they work so hard for what they have. Right? And robbing people is not the answer to this. Robbing people is not the answer to what's happening. You see, I was watching last night when Robin and those had that crowd and they did that march. Ladies and gentlemen, we should not just do marches when we lose a brother or a sister to violence from the Guyana police force. We shouldn't. We have so much issues that we are dealing with in Guyana that we can march every single day. You need to continue to march. You guys need to start learning. You come out and you march one time, they can withstand that. Okay, it's going to just be for a day and that's going to cool down and that's going to be gone. No. You should still be marching for Quindom Bacchus. All right? The life of no one. The life of no one. $24 million cannot replace the life of anyone. 24 million Guyana dollars. All right? Though compensation was paid, it doesn't mean that justice was served. It doesn't mean that justice was served. You guys go to sleep too easily, man. You get 2 rocks and you're snoring. We got to remain woke here. All right? We all got to stand at the wheel and guide this ship. So the PPP would have allotted school buses in Region 6. A PPP stronghold. You guys heard that? Region 6. A PPP stronghold. Where are we going next? Region 2? It's shameful. It is shameful. But no matter how y'all twist it and turn it, the school bus initiative will always be a PNCR and by extension APNU initiative. Right? The cash transfer, cash distribution, the father of that is going to always be Professor Clive Thomas of the WPA. You guys will not be able to change that. because we will not allow it. We will not allow you guys to eliminate our rich history in Guyana. Look at the culture center. Look at the condition of the culture center, the National Culture Center. Built under who? Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum, the late great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum. You guys have failed miserably to upkeep the National Culture Center. Look at these $1 trillion budgets that you guys have. And you can't even upkeep the current structures that are there. But you're hustling to build new ones. I call on the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown to take the PPP to court regarding those 57 streets. I believe that that move is illegal. Right? It's illegal and it is part of a greater plan. The mayor has to display some spine. I believe there should be citywide protest. A lot of things can change, ladies and gentlemen, with these 57 streets. When you talk about March Day, the PPP can say that the floats cannot come down those streets. We've got to think this through. The mayor and city council should not just sit down and surrender to central government. No, everybody have their scope. Central government has not funded the mayor and city councils across Guyana. I recall sitting down and watching a program with Comrade Wainwright McIntosh, and at the time the mayor of Linden was the Honorable MP Sharma Rahim Solomon, and Comrade Alfred Mentor, the mayor of Georgetown. And you would have felt like if they all sat down and read the same script, same complaint across the board. Central government not doing their part. So what they're trying to do, they are trying to create a narrative to the Guyanese people that there is no need for these mayors and for city council. Why don't we go ahead and eliminate them and central government handle everything? That's the road that the PPP is going down. And it is easy to see that. So I await to see what the Georgetown Mayor and City Council does. They will go through all those streets. Anybody who have empty lots, they're going to take them away. Anybody who didn't pay their rates and taxes, they're going to take your property away. They're going to tell you that you have 1 million, 2 million, whatever due in 3 days. Where are you getting that money from? But yet, businesses that are tied to the PPPC owe millions of dollars to the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown. GPL, I believe, is in the billion. And there are many others. So here you have a government that owes the Mayor and City Council turning back and seizing 57 streets from that same Mayor and City Council. Make that make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 27 minutes after 8 here, Eastern Standard Time in the US, and I believe 27 minutes after 8 also in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. As we teeter in on closing time for tonight's program, I must apologize to you guys also for last week Sunday. And I'll tell you up front here that we're having a program tomorrow. We are having a program tomorrow. We will be here tomorrow. I want to apologize to you guys for last Sunday. Gavin Cece is saying we need more voter education on the ground in Guyana. Yes. And I think that's where the APNU will have to leverage their councillors and also other members of the party to come out and really educate people with regards to their vote. All right? And let them know that their vote should not be used as a transactional financial tool. All right? In the way that it's being used where you collecting money for your vote. Don't do it. It's wrong. It shows a lack thereof of integrity. It shows that you've lost control of your morals. Okay? Let's stay in line. Let's stay disciplined, ladies and gentlemen. Audrey Brown is saying definitely you got to take them to court. Yes, I agree with you, Audrey. Well, Miss Rita Clark, I do hope that everybody that needed to apologize to Sister Robin would have apologized to her. Jamal Aziz says he's late because of street parliament. That's okay, Jamal. That is okay. Good to see you here nevertheless. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we have some other issues that we are going to dig in on. Let's look to see where else they're going to be placing school buses. I know Region 4 is going to be quite a challenge because it is so populated and it is so large. It's going to be quite a challenge to populate Region 4 with school buses. So let's see if there is going to be efficiency, commuting to school created in Region 6 and nowhere else. Remember this. The coalition party had buses all across Guyana. Let's just remember that. Okay? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you are saying that you're coming over from Street Parliament. Okay, that's good. That's good. We want to be there. We want to be updated on the latest and the greatest. So yes, it's good to be there. Miss Hazel Johnson is saying the government is a wicked cabal. Absolutely. Leave the buses to rot. And of course, look, what we've been seeing in Guyana with the PPP, if they didn't implement something, if something wasn't their idea, it's no good. And here you have a government sitting there that doesn't even do feasibility studies. They don't do any feasibility studies. They give you a cash distribution this year, $100,000. I'm sure that they're not even already doing a study. Well, okay, if revenue is cut back this amount, are we going to be able to give the people a cash distribution? Maybe we can give them 70,000. Maybe we can still squeeze in 100,000. They're not even looking at next year. They're not looking at next year. And you look, that is what a lot of you voted for. The people who voted for the PPP. That's what you voted for. And then the other 109,000 that decided that, we're going to push aside app. No one, we're going to. Have you guys moved the needle yet? All right. Sending a letter to Carol Joseph doesn't answer anything. If you ask me what was more impactful for the week from a leadership perspective, I would say Aubrey Norton's rebut of the ambassador. impressed me more than anything else that I've seen this week. Because to me, that was more important. You think sending Honorable Carl Joseph a letter that was petty? Go and come again. That's not a demonstration of power. That's not a demonstration of you knowing what you're doing. You would more align that with a demonstration of ignorance. Because what does removing Honorable Carl Joseph do for you? What does it do for you? Claudette Singh is still sitting there, but you're not going to go after Claudette Singh because you are the PPP. The PPP are you, hence you and the PPP are one. People need to wake up. Until tomorrow, brothers and sisters, I thank you guys for signing in and coming in today. Until tomorrow, I love you. I love you. I love each and every one of you. Let's stay woke. Let's keep our heads up. Okay? We know the task that has been given to everyone to eliminate the APNU. And we here will not allow it to happen. We can do it. Yes, we can. We will prevail. I love you, love you, love you. Over to you. See you tomorrow night. Good night.